Why are you doing this? Hey everybody, it's Brenda, and I'm really excited to be back with another episode of Brenda Cooks the Books. This month I am cooking from Bryant Terry's Vegetable Kingdom, which came out last year, but is still one of my favorite new cookbooks. It is so wonderful. Just about every recipe is really excellent and makes great use of vegetables, but I have been on a real bean kick these days, so I chose a recipe that really features beans front and center. It is a barbecue carrot dish with slow cooked white beans, and it is such a rich and comforting and hearty wintry meal that is perfect for right now. Let's get started by making our barbecue spice blend, which we're going to use to season the carrots when we roast them. So in a mortar, I have about a teaspoon of white peppercorns, which have a mild and really floral flavor that doesn't overpower the barbecue flavor, which is really excellent. So I'm just going to crush these up till they get really, really fine into a powder, and then add in a bunch of pre-ground spices. So to the peppercorns, we're gonna add a whole bunch of other spices, and you can buy these again pre-ground, or if you prefer to grind some of them yourself, totally fine too. Just do it at this stage. So we have some cumin here, some cayenne pepper, onion powder, chili powder, sugar, oops, smoked and sweet paprika, and some salt. We'll just mix this together a little bit just so it's all combined, and then we're gonna get it in a hot skillet just to toast it and let the flavors really develop and brighten. All right, so I just have a medium-sized skillet over a medium heat, and I'm gonna just dump all of the spice mixture in here. And I didn't put any oil or anything in this pan, it's just gonna be dry toasted. You'll just want to make sure that the heat is at a medium level and you shake the pan pretty consistently for about a minute. And then at the end, you should be able to smell a really rich, aromatic, spicy kind of smell. So make sure you're babysitting this, because otherwise it will burn and that won't taste very good. When you can start to smell it, that's when you know that it is just about toasted. So my spices are just about toasted. I'm gonna stick it back in this mortar because I have to clean it anyway, but you could also use a little bowl. You just wanna make sure you get it out of the pan so it does not continue toasting. I have a bunch of carrots here, and they are just peeled and left whole and trimmed at the top. You want to get fairly large carrots for this because we're going to be roasting them whole for about 2 hours, and if they're too small, then they will burn really quickly because there is a large sugar content in carrots. So these are big boys, and I'm just going to drizzle them with a bunch of olive oil, about 2 tablespoons. Really can just, eyeball it, and then about 4 tablespoons of our barbecue mixture here. It seems like a lot of spice, but again, the carrots are going to be slow roasting for such a long time that they'll be able to absorb all of this great flavor. Nothing gets me more riled up than an underwhelming carrot. So I really love that these are really packed to the brim with and really bursting with flavor. Just rub it in there. You need a little bit more oil to get the spice mix to stick. We're gonna bake these in a 300-degree oven for about 2 hours and make sure that they are covered and sealed tightly with foil. All right, so we're just gonna wrap up these really beautiful carrots, and they smell super good too, very tightly with foil. And you'll wanna, I might actually need a bit more. You'll wanna make sure that it is really, really well sealed, because otherwise a lot of steam will escape and your carrots won't get really nice and tender in the middle, which we definitely want for this recipe. I'm gonna put this into a 300-degree oven, and what time is it right now? You don't know? Okay. Well, I'm gonna set a timer somehow for 2 hours from now. Otherwise I will forget and we're gonna have burnt and blown up and exploded carrots, which I don't think we want. All right, now onto the beans. I just put 1 cup of dried Great Northern beans, which are a really plump, thin-skinned white bean, in a large bowl with a ton of water. Like, you can see how much water in there. There's like, for 1 cup of beans, there's at least 5-6 cups of water. And I let it soak overnight. And some people kind of argue about whether you should leave beans out overnight. I live in a fairly cold climate, so I mean, I'm just gonna say it's fine. But if you do live in warmer climates, maybe you want to put it in the fridge and or like somewhere protected so no bacteria grows. And I'm just gonna drain these out and give them a quick rinse. And then stick them in a really large saucepan or a Dutch oven. So I'm gonna use my Dutch oven. Gonna fill it up with water. So there's about 3 inches more of water on, like, over and above the beans. And set it to a high heat and let it come to a boil. And so I will see you when we are at a boil. So we're just going to directly cut this white onion in half, peel the skin off, but keep the sort of stem attached because we want it to stay whole when we are cooking it with the beans. And then we'll just save this for a bit later. We'll need it soon. Then just peel and lightly crush our 3 cloves of garlic. So no need to chop them, no need to press them or anything now because we will eventually discard them. And then also, Bryant calls for a 2-inch piece of kombu, which is a type of kelp that's dried, and it is really high in glutamates, which are the type of chemical compound that registers as umami in our mouths. And it just gives this really meaty richness to the beans. You can also use shiitake mushrooms if you don't have kombu. I couldn't find it, so I might actually just use a little bit of MSG. But I think you can order it online or get it at like a local specialty store. And yeah, try it out. It's really, really good. Finally, the beans have come to a boil, and I am going to lower the heat a little bit to about a medium low. And just stick in our aromatics. So the onion goes in, the garlic goes in, and then I think I forgot to tell you about this, but we're just gonna put in 1 dried chili. And I'm using one that I use in all of my Indian cooking, but any sort of Mexican style or Southwestern style will do for this too. So like a guajillo or an ancho or anything you like. So just gonna stick that in there, and as promised, a little tiny bit of MSG, just for the glutamates, just because Brian told us to, kinda. So I'm just gonna stir this all together and make sure that the onion is nicely nestled in there. And importantly, not gonna salt it yet. We're going to let the beans cook and do their thing and really absorb all of the flavor of the aromatics, and then just salt to taste at the very end. Partially covering this. I'm gonna check back in on this in about an hour and a half, and at that time I think my carrots will also be near done too, so go do what you need to do and see you back here in a couple of hours. Alright, so our onions have definitely softened and become translucent, and a couple of garlic cloves right here, minced finely, and I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, about 1/4 teaspoon. Just kind of stir that around, cook it for 30 seconds to 1 minute, and then we're gonna add in some tomato paste. Don't really, again, have to be super exact with it, just about 2 tablespoons, and make sure you stir it around. And we're just gonna coat all of the onions and garlic with the paste and really allow it to kind of merge really nicely with the fat and the alliums in the pan. All right, so our tomato paste is just about bloomed at this point and cooked down. So I'm gonna add in 1 cup of canned diced tomatoes in their juices. I'm gonna add in 1 tablespoon of liquid aminos. So I'm just gonna let this simmer for a couple of minutes. What we wanna do when we drain our beans, we basically cooked it down for a really, really long time in this water, and the water is full of flavor from the alliums and the chili and the little bit of MSG that we added in. We want to save some of this cooking liquid so it becomes the basis for our sauce. Do not throw out this bean water. Almost there. You know, that'll be good for right now. I'm going to take these out and maybe not the best way, but don't want these anymore. We're not going to include them in the sauce, so just compost these. Let's finish draining our beans, just in a colander. So, drained beans go back in the pot. We're gonna grab our sauce in here and get that all in there. And then pour in about 3 cups. It's 3/4 of a quart, thereabouts, so I know it's 3 cups of the cooking liquid. Do you want to come see what they look like? They're all tomato-y and already smells so good. So we're just gonna let them stew for about an hour on very, very low heat, partially covered. Last little detail with the beans, I forgot to put in a sprig of thyme is what I have, but the recipe calls for rosemary, so you can use whatever woody herb that you like, and also a bay leaf, just to give it additional aroma and really deep umami flavor. All right, we're gonna see how our carrots are doing after 2 hours of really low and slow roasting in the oven. I'm gonna check and see how tender they actually are with a paring knife. And if you just see how easily, really no resistance at all, then we know that they are perfectly steamed. I'm going to use my tongs and flip these over, just because the bottom sides have gotten a lot of action, and look at all that caramelization already occurring. Oh, they're so tender that they're falling apart. You can time this step so you're roasting the carrots and getting them sort of heated through right as your beans are about to finish up. They'll be great even at room temperature. We'll just let them really crisp up for about 7 to 10 minutes and get really, really caramelized and almost glossy. Okay, into the oven they go. So it's been about 7 to 10 minutes. I'm just gonna check on our carrots because I think they are done. I smell them from another part of the house, so they must be all ready to go. Yeah, look at that. They're so glossy and caramelized and have so much browning around the edges, and they're not burnt. Holy cow. All right, so it's been about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and our beans are looking so good. The sauce has thickened up. It's just a great stewy consistency. So I think we are actually ready to eat. So we're gonna take a bowl or plate, which is my favorite dish in the kitchen, and ladle in a bunch of beans, avoiding the bay leaf as in the thyme sprig, as you'll see here. Then I'm gonna top it with 2 carrots. This one's breaking a little bit, but he'll do nicely in here. I'm gonna top it with a couple of garnishes that make a big difference. So, and really improve the experience of eating the dish. So right here I have made pickles, which is a Haitian quick pickle that, and condiment that is used for a lot of purposes, but Bryant includes a recipe in his book that I highly recommend. So pickles is made up of cabbage and carrots, green bell pepper, and scotch bonnet or habanero. But you can kind of use any quick pickle that you like. Just something that will be kind of like salad-like and bright to kind of cut through all of the sweetness and earthiness here. I'm gonna also top it with some scallions, maybe a tiny touch of flaky salt, just because I can't help myself. And I don't have any bread right now, but Bryant recommends that you serve this with a good hunk of country bread, which, I mean, I'm just kicking myself for not buying some earlier this week. Gonna get a nice little bite with a piece of carrot, with some beans, with some pickles. It's very hot. Smoky, earthy, spicy, just a tad sweet from the carrots, intense creaminess from the beans and the carrots, and a little bit of crunchiness from the garnishes. Honestly, you need to make this right now. Like, seriously, drop everything you're doing and make it right now. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Brinda Cooks the Books. If you have a cookbook that you love and you want me to cook from, please let me know in the comments. And again, definitely go pick up Brian Terry's Vegetable Kingdom. You will not regret it. It will completely change the way you think about vegetables. So until next time, take care and see you soon.